China is a mountainous country. Mountains and plateaus above 500 meters account for around 60% of its land area, and hills with an altitude of 200 to 500 meters for a further 10%. Plains cover just 12% of the territory. The mountains create severe difficulties for the people living among them and represent a huge challenge for China's poverty alleviation campaign. Chongqing in Fujian province is a southern county where mountains and hills occupy 71% of the land area. It's also a key target of the poverty alleviation drive. In the mid-20th century, due to deforestation, severe soil erosion affected nearly a third of the county. Half a century ago, this was an area of bare mountains, turbid waters, barren fields, and poor people. On November the 27th, 1999, Xi Jinping, who was acting governor of Fujian province at the time, inspected Chongqing County. He gave instructions for improving soil and water conservation and called for a major effort to control soil erosion. Over the next 10 years, 2/3 of the area suffering from soil erosion was improved, and forest coverage was increased to nearly 80%. In Chongqing, a green industry was beginning to flourish. Yi Xiaozhen runs the Green Dream family farm. She was the first person in Chongqing to get rich through the green industry. The Green Dream family farm started from a few acres of wasteland. Under the expert guidance of the local forestry department and with help from the government's poverty alleviation policies, Yi steadily expanded the business.
其实荔枝梦是在我们习总书记提出的中国梦的指引下得来的。中国梦、荔枝梦，还有我的梦，这是一个让绿色赶走贫穷的梦。那我们荔枝梦现在就是形成了一个果蔬观光采摘、特色的餐饮，还有我们把这个前线18个乡镇的农特产品呢集中在一块，然后通过线上线下的模式进行销售，相当于就是农业加这个电商啊，加农户啊，加体验。
Yi Xiaozhen began working with 23 poor families in the town, encouraging them to go green. These families have all lifted themselves out of poverty and are now earning between 5,000 and 30,000 yuan more each year. Yi Xiaozhen has contracted with 60 cooperatives and major farmers in 18 villages and towns in the county to sell 112 types of agricultural produce. Her family farm is now an integrated operation, incorporating e-commerce sales of agricultural produce, fruit picking, and sightseeing. Shangjiao in Chongqing County, with its barren mountains, limited arable land, and severe soil erosion, used to be one of the poorest places in Fujian province. Party Secretary Wu Shui-chang was determined to find a way of lifting the village out of poverty. The villagers transformed over 200 hectares of barren mountains, created almost 100 hectares of forests, and reclaimed over 100 hectares of wild bamboo forests. With support from the local forestry department in the form of seedlings, fertilizers, and technologies, they also cultivated cash crops.
以前啊，我们山上啊没资源啊，守着那个7分田啊，砍柴换油盐啊，养头猪等过年啊，所以我这个村呢是省级扶贫开发重点村。通过这个贫困户怎么脱贫啊，我们寻找了很多这个项目啊，像这个丽水经商啊，怎么转化为经商营商啊？ 我们种植这个灵芝啊，800亩，桑叶青做了630亩，啊，黄花眼芝100亩。今年呢，就打造了这个种植这个7叶一枝花，种了100亩。
Shangjiao village has built a development model that draws all the poor households in the village into a cooperative focusing on forest-based industries. The dividends they receive and the payment for their labor have been enough to lift them out of poverty. The forestry economy has enabled them to get rich without damaging the environment. The village has also combined land ownership so that each household's small plot can be used in large-scale planting. In addition to Chinese herbal medicines, they have also planted valuable tree species such as nanmu interspersed in the forests. In another innovation, they have introduced high-value Hertian chickens into the forest. The vibrant green industry has brought about an increase in the village's annual income of more than yuan 1 million. Shangjiao's 700 hectares of once barren hills have become a green bank. Chongqing's success in soil erosion control and green development is popularly known in China as the Chongqing Experience. On December the 10th, 2011, People's Daily published an article under the headline, "Barren Hills Become Forests of Flowers and Fruit." It described Chongqing County's historic achievement in transforming bare mountains into ecological hotspots. It reported that by becoming a model in ecological poverty alleviation, the county had proved that lucid waters and lush mountains can be invaluable assets. Forestry development has natural advantages and great potential in promoting economic activity in areas of extreme poverty. The entry threshold is low, it's easy to organize and implement, and it promises a stable income. It makes it possible, through ecological engineering, increased ecological compensation, and innovative poverty alleviation methods, to achieve a win-win outcome combining poverty alleviation and ecological conservation. China's vast territory encompasses huge regional differences. This means that ecological poverty alleviation needs to adapt to the local conditions. On average, Hotan County in Xinjiang experiences just under 33 days of sandstorms a year and 53 days of high winds. For over 200 days, it suffers from dust clouds, with the quantity of dust deposited per square kilometer amounting to over 600 tons. In such a harsh environment, traditional tree planting and desert control methods have limited effect. But now the spring of ecological poverty alleviation has come to Hotan County, seen in greenhouses in new villages. Song Zongke is an agricultural technician. He's very popular with the farmers because he teaches them to grow tomatoes, peppers, strawberries, zucchini, and other crops. The windproof and drought-resistant greenhouses are the means by which Hotan's residents can lift themselves out of poverty. Under the Poverty Alleviation Program, Rezi's family were moved to a new village. Song Zongke has taught Rezi how to grow greenhouse peaches. Rezi has now contracted 4 greenhouses. He has not only lifted his family out of poverty, but also become, in his own right, a specialist in desert cultivation, who helps his fellow villagers.
我们和谐新村的贫困户现在加到合作社，边学习种植技术、日常管理，增加自己的收入。后面他们学完技术了以后，他们自己可以承包温室大棚，他们自己可以创业增收致富。
Kumubago village in Wuzhongxiao Township, Hotan, was once extremely poor. First Secretary Guo Chuanfeng and the village poverty alleviation team insisted there could be no let-up in the effort to lift themselves out of poverty. First secretaries have been appointed to 128,000 poverty-stricken villages across China. Their primary task is to lead the poverty alleviation work.
怎样？你最近有没有什么困难没有？
Yakınımdan başka hiç de kazmam yok mu? Yok.
Yok. 一点困难都没有吗？
Yaşa.
有困难的话就到大队去跟我说，跟我们工作队的队员说都可以，好吗？
They have made a huge difference in Hotan. The village road has been paved, and hundreds of meters of grape trellises extend along both sides of it. Every courtyard has a greenhouse where fruit and vegetables are cultivated. But the most important thing is securing water. As long as there's sufficient water, the whole area will become vibrant. But water is very expensive here, so households employ the highly economical drip irrigation technique.
这个桶呢，就是我们一个扶贫项目，庭院滴灌项目，家家户户呢都配备一个这么个桶，它的水的来源呢，就是由旁边的一口小井，通过呢电机呢把水抽到这个桶里，然后再通过滴灌带呢，把水再引到庭院里面的经济作物上，非常非常的节水。
Everyone in Kumu Bago village grows their own vegetables, which form part of a very healthy diet. Selling their produce also earns them a significant income. Kumu Bago is well on the way to green development.
你这个地灌种的菜呢？
辣子啊，现在是真的。
那这一排已经开始了啊，然后已经种了辣子了，然后这边就刚刚好。
哦，你那边种的是什么呀？
哦，那么
我
就是甜瓜，种的甜瓜啊。
你没种红薯吗？
红薯这里面。
红薯没得。
红薯在那个地方。
红薯在那儿哦，好好好。
The Taklamakan is the second largest desert in the world. Here, the annual precipitation is only a few dozen millimeters, yet the evaporation rate is more than 100 times greater. Part of Hotan County is located in the desert. In the past, anyone who proposed planting grass and trees here would have been considered insane. But now bulldozers have cleared away the sand dunes to create vast areas suitable for cultivation. High-tech sand control is making dreams come true. Wang Zhexiang is an expert on desert soil at Chongqing's Jiaotong University. He has been working in the desert of southern Xinjiang for the past 2 years, with a view to developing ways of alleviating poverty with the help of ecological technology.
这是他们苗子，
这是我们带过来的苗子，你看，这是我们挖的，就现在就是大根，
就是新培育的吧？
我们现在这个品种是零下20度到30度冻不死。
The research team at Chongqing's Jiaotong University has been studying what's called desert soilization since 2009. This technology enables sand to acquire the properties of soil so that it has the ability to retain water, nutrients and oxygen, and to breed microorganisms. The technology of transforming sand into soil is creating an ecological miracle in the desert. Mountainous areas, forests and deserts. These are the areas that are most closely associated with poverty. In view of this, the government has carried out a series of major projects to protect and develop the environment in selected regions. These projects create opportunities for the local poor to earn money and have also laid a solid foundation for sustainable development in poverty-stricken areas.
我想生态这个扶贫的话，更重要的侧重点还是在我们国家现在已经划定的深度贫困的地区，比如说我们的山区、三州地区，因为这些深度贫困的地区是我们国家一些生态环境相对来讲是比较脆弱，又对我们国家环境的话起着至关重要的地方。我想这些地方的话，可能是更需要我们国家的这种在扶贫方面的这种投入。
In alleviating poverty, access to education plays a key role. Education is an important way of ensuring that poverty is not passed on to the next generation. To this end, it's essential to act to stop children from impoverished families dropping out of school. In the past 5 years, the the Chinese government has subsidized the education of 390 million students. It has also helped 40 million rural students through the Better Nutrition Plan and assisted 93% of disabled children so that they receive an education. In 2011, the State Council launched the Better Nutrition Plan for rural students in an effort to promote free, nutritious meals throughout the country. Under the plan, the central government provides nutritional and dietary subsidies to the tune of 3 yuan per qualified student per day. A pilot Better Nutrition Plan for rural students was launched in 65 counties in Guizhou province in the spring semester of 2012. By 2014, the provision of nutritious meals for primary and secondary school students in rural areas extended to every county in Guizhou, benefiting almost 4 million students. This meant the problem of malnutrition among children in Guizhou's poverty-stricken areas was basically solved. Changshun County is located in the west of Guizhou's Qiannan Prefecture. In the past, getting to school meant climbing a mountain for most of the rural students. For some children, it involved walking for several hours each day. In recent years, boarding schools have been established so that students in mountainous areas no longer have to travel long distances to school. But this raised another issue: how to feed them. In areas where children commonly eat poorly, the government's Better Nutrition Plan fundamentally solved this problem. Baiyunshan Town Central School is the largest rural boarding primary school in Changshun County. Here, the canteen can accommodate 400 children at a time. It ensures that the children enjoy a nutritious and diverse diet. The students all say that their school meals are much better than anything they eat at home. The poorer students are no longer hungry and can concentrate on their studies. In recent years, there has been a clear improvement in the students' appearance. Their hair is lustrous, their complexion is florid, and they are taller.
以前我们这个孩子在家里的没这么高，就是读了不到1年吧。他们的营养餐都是每天都要调换，都每天都变换着吃。回来就是说，今天的饭很好吃，粉条很香，就是红萝卜很香，就是肉也很好吃，也就是体现了这个学校对孩子他们的关心。哪个吃多一点？你说，哪个多吃一点？你多吃还是弟弟多吃？
我们现在实行的是4+1模式。这个4+1模式实际上就是国家补助4元，非贫困户学生自筹1元，县级财政补助贫困学生1元，保证学生享受完整的营养补偿的同时，还能够让每周让同学们吃上1个苹果、2只香蕉、2个面包或2个鸡蛋，让学生营养更加丰富，满足了这个学生成长的需要。
In Changshun County, all the ingredients in the school canteen are purchased and supplied via a distribution center. The whole process is supervised in a real-time, transparent manner. The food is purchased by buyers directly from the farms and subjected to professional inspection.
现在学校食堂里面的食材，有60%以上都来源于我们县里面的贫困户的种养殖基地。这样呢，一方面助推了贫困户的产业脱贫， 另外一个方面呢，也确保了我们孩子所食用的食材安全。
Providing nutritious meals for rural school children is a major item of government expenditure under the Comprehensive National Poverty Alleviation Plan. The scheme is being promoted particularly in remote mountainous and desert areas. The sight of rural students bringing their own desks and chairs with them and sleeping in shared beds in dangerous buildings has now been consigned to history. Even in China's most remote villages and mountainous areas, there are well-appointed schools and excellent teachers providing the students with various extracurricular activities. The exposure to a more modern education is offering the children more possibilities for their future development. Enforcing compulsory education in poverty-stricken areas, improving all-round population quality, and preventing poverty from being passed on to the next generation. All this forms the essence of poverty alleviation through education. On the afternoon of February the 3rd, 2013, Xi Jinping visited Bulangou village in Ningxia Autonomous Prefecture, home to an ethnic Dongxiang community. At the house of Ma Mai-je, Xi inquired into every aspect of the family's livelihood, what they ate, what subsistence allowances they received, their medical treatment, and their children's education. Since then, Xi Jinping has visited every area of extreme poverty in China.
总书记来讲是我们的心情好景很满意，在这些个水业土鸟农业一块好了，修着在新农业建设好了，这就我们很喜欢的，我们在总书记在感谢的。
Xi Jinping also gave some school supplies to Ma Mai-je's two sons. One of them, Ma Jianzhong, is now a high school junior.
感谢习总书记对我们家的照顾，在学习上给了我很大的鼓励，让我一直把我的学业坚持到最后。
The cost of children's education can be high, so much so that it can reduce a family to poverty. Dongxiang County has launched a scheme encouraging private investment in education. A number of socially responsible enterprises have already made contributions.
我们2018年4月份来的时候，这个地方是一栋2层的教学楼，那栋2层的教学楼是97年建设的，是个砖混的，它的教学环境很差，这个地方都是板房，就是教室很紧张，所以我们就计划就在这个地方把那个2层的教学楼给它翻建成现在的这栋双面的4层教学楼。这栋是个宿舍楼，能够容纳300多名走读生的这种住宿。当时我们来的时候，老师们的办公楼里都是住的学生，26个学生挤在一个比教室稍小一点的那种会议室里。通过我们这个援建，整个学校的从老师、从教室、从学生住宿，整个给它进行了提升。像这个学校已经作为东乡县的示范性学校了。
我们得到了社会各个方面对我们教育工作的全方位的支持，包括我们这个援建校舍、发这些学习用具，还有这个直接性的给我们贫困学生的资助贷款，力度也是比较大的。
Dongxiang County sends the representatives of various government departments to visit its schools, villages, and families. Their investigations into the circumstances of households living below the poverty line have helped to establish a dynamic database. By referring to it, a targeted poverty alleviation system has been constructed, covering poor students' preschool, compulsory, high school, and higher education. The county has established a financial aid mechanism for college freshmen worth 200,000 yuan. It's also implementing a plan involving various government departments to set up education support funds and solicit donations. For 3 years, college freshmen from poor families received a one-time subsidy of over 2,000 yuan each. The amount has gradually increased to reach over 3,000 yuan now. How village and town governments go about providing loans for college students is included in their performance appraisal.
4个大学生，就是他像东乡像4个大学生的根本不多，就是
小的是大二吧？
大二了
啊，小的是大二。
那还有2年。接着让他念，现在要念研究生呢，不能说是本科毕业就结束。
他知道现在那个西北师大的那个，他就那读研究生。
到了我哥那会儿是已经开始有那个国家助学贷款，因为也了解了这个渠道，然后就开始弄那个助学贷款，完了之后家里面就是给点生活费，但这个比起以前就轻松多了嘛。然后后来就是我上了大学，然后又是我弟，然后我们几个都是那个国家助学贷款上了大学。其实现在能上大学很大一部分是国家政策的那个扶持。
There was a time when being unable to afford an education was a source of huge disappointment for many students who dreamed of a bright future. Today, the education aid system covers every level, from preschool to postgraduate. This ensures that no students drop out of school due to financial reasons. Ma Xuexin has been a student at Northwest Normal University since 2015. She is a beneficiary of Dongxiang's poverty alleviation through education policy. She's about to graduate, and her first thought is to return home as a teacher and give something back to her hometown.
去年9月份，然后学校有一个项目是那个农村教育硕士，然后当时我就跟家里商量了一下，我说，那个爸爸，我那个其实挺想当老师的，因为我毕竟学的是这个专业嘛。然后我们有时候那个支教呀啥的，去东乡县特别贫困的那个地方，然后发现我们家那儿就是专业的那种老师特别少，然后而且那些老师特别辛苦，一个老师就是带着好几个班。然后100多个学生都是人家一个人在管，语文、数学、英语啊啥的都是一个人在上。然后就说爸爸，我想去那个，还是回咱们东乡，然后当一个老师。然后就是跟家里商量完了之后，我在学校这边，面试，然后就是忙各种，最后就是签到那个东乡县了，就在东乡县中学当一名老师。
It's a fundamental policy in poverty alleviation that children in poor areas should be educated and cultivated. In 2013, 4 major automobile enterprises, FAW, SAIC, Chang'an, and BYD, acting with the Fuping County Vocational Education School, established the Fuping Mengshan Automobile Training Base. Subsequently, 5 property management companies established the Fuping Mengshan Intelligent Building Base. Guided by the needs of the enterprises involved, the 2 bases designed their own curricula, recruited teaching staff, and established scholarships. They also introduced advanced training methods, such as project learning, case studies, and practical teaching. The Fuping County Vocational Education School, by connecting with high-quality enterprises and trade associations, has created a model of employment before graduation. By integrating education and industry, study and employment, it helps its students to find jobs and thus lift their families out of poverty. The national policy of poverty alleviation through education has drawn China's academic circles into the war on poverty. At the Southwestern University of Finance and Economics, the Research Institute of Economics and Management has promoted a plan called Labor Income Reward in poor rural areas of Lebor County, Sichuan Province. The main thrust of the plan is to encourage capable poor households to increase their income by rewarding them for working hard. They receive cash bonuses proportionate to their income. This approach, aimed at encouraging poor households to escape poverty quickly, in effect replaces subsidies with incentives.
有劳动奖励的家庭的话，他就开始想各种办法。实际上，他主要的呢，就是在想各种新的办法来增加收入。你能看到他们的精神面貌，你能看到的工作积极性。
Morshe in Lebor County is one of the pilot villages in the Labor Income Reward Plan. Yang Guobo's family is registered as poverty-stricken. Years of inefficient pig and crop farming had left them desperately poor. But the Labor Income Reward Plan has had a powerful motivating effect on them. They added chickens to their farming portfolio and have also taken on jobs such as forest ranger. As a result, their income soared. In 2018 alone, Yang Guobo received an average bonus of 1,000 yuan every quarter. Now he has not only escaped poverty, also a cooperative chicken farm he established is helping the entire village to get rich.
老多家人过后，我呢就是也很积极，他们别的就把这个养鸡场推荐给我。现在一年的收入大概就是30万块钱，一家人4-5个人都靠我吃饭。这个，我必须积极，准备把这个养鸡场搞好，规模扩大，主要是供这个娃娃些读书。你现在对人家支援我，
干活都积极没有？干。
哦，肯定干起噻这个。
啊，得干起吧。
The Labor Income Reward Plan alleviates poverty by encouraging people to act and motivating them. If a poor household doesn't have a strong enough desire to escape poverty independently and simply relies on aid, they can only be helped in the short term through a transfusion of funds. The incentive scheme stimulates villagers' motivation to start their own businesses.
历史动力是很重要的事情。它的动力不仅在于你脱贫有，对将来发展也很重要。从杨戈博的身上，我感觉到一个，就是只要人的主观能动性激发出来以后，效果会出乎你的想象。
In August 2017, a poverty alleviation project team sent by Ping An Property Insurance arrived in Taijiang. They wanted to explore a potential new model of poverty alleviation that accorded with the features of the area. Investigation and research into numerous factors, such as the local advantages, environment, natural features, and local regulations, led the team to focus on edible funguses. They set about creating the Taijiang model, a brand new approach that promoted poverty alleviation through industrial development based on interest-free, guarantee-free insurance. The team paid regular visits to inform the poverty-stricken families about the Taijiang model.
这边把大家召集起来的话，就是因为我们这个项目就是平安，还有银行，还有我们跟这个万农这边合作，我们是用了一个免息免担保，你们就在吴总这边是免费拿菌吧。
The battle against poverty is tough, and to win it, the key is to help the poor to help themselves. The Taijiang model, with its new products and new approaches to poverty alleviation, has now been introduced in 10 other provinces. Funan County in Anhui Province is a key target of poverty alleviation and development. Here, agriculture is the main industry, yet the soil is barren, and more than half of the cultivated land is hilly and low-lying. The area is frequently afflicted by drought and flooding. The county has been poverty-stricken since the 1980s. Wang Xing's family used to be desperately poor. His father was unable to work and his mother was frail. His sister and brother were still at school. The family was also in debt. Wang Xing dropped out of school at the age of 15 to help his mother support the family.
我以为他那时候年龄还太小，学习没有这个文化也不行啊。
我觉得我妈自己在家里面一个女人就是太辛苦了。
And so, at the age of 15, to support his family, Wang Xing would regularly go to the county market to sell their produce, while also helping his mother with the farm work.
我才15岁，下面我还有几十年，我肯定用我的双手可以挣到这个钱。
Wang Xing soon discovered that Funan County's major agricultural product, peppers, often failed to sell, even though they are heavy, tasty and bright in color. After drying, they can be turned into top-grade powder or granules. Yet the farmers struggled to sell what they grew, which meant they often toiled in vain.
别人卖了几十年了嘛，肯定不会买我的东西嘛，因为我刚做嘛，我就想着怎么去卖快呢？我先从我们家亲戚下手，就说你让别人赚钱，还不如让我赚钱嘛。我一下第一天卖了1000块钱，第二天我卖了8000块钱出去，然后我又找到了我们家邻居。
He attended a farming skills training program organized by the local government, and being clever and studious, he excelled. He also worked to develop new sales and delivery channels through which the villagers could sell their peppers for a good price.
找到了渠道，找到了商机。如果他不吃这个辣椒，如果很辣嘛，我们就是给他种一点微辣的辣椒。如果呢，他们呢不喜欢这个颜色呢，我们可以给他就是说种植呢就是多元化一点的，哎圆的好看。 哎，小的好看，哎，黄的好看，就是说以感官和口感来去满足他们的需求。
The time Wang Xing spent studying and improving his business coincided with the period when the National Poverty Alleviation Campaign was being stepped up. Having made the most of various talent training schemes, assistance measures, and preferential policies, and being studious and diligent, he eventually realized his dream of making his family rich.
我为什么说经纪人呢？我觉得这个东西本儿小，哎，别人都可以做，也能赚到钱。我为什么不能做呢？我就是以尝试的心态去接触一下。你不尝试，你怎么知道这个东西可以呢？
Today, Huilong Town in Funan is a famous pepper production base. Wang Xing is still working to make the best possible use of the local geographical advantages to improve his pepper business.
原来一年就收入个5、6千块钱，就是现在在网银这一年可以挣个1万多块钱，地里还收入个大概个5、6千块钱，反正将近2万块钱左右。
我现在收购的辣椒是什么呢？最不好的到最好的我都要。 就说没有损耗，
这有保障哎，有个干劲儿嘞。你那没有像他不办这场的时候，那你只能随行就价。有的时候都卖贵了，没的时候那你不都跟办的是一样的。
Wang Xing, thanks to his commitment and professional skills, managed to find a market for the local agricultural produce and helped the local pepper farmers to increase their income. He has also benefited personally. His family have now paid off all their debts and built themselves a new house.
最后一笔还了2万6千块钱，哎，终于把这个钱还完了。努力了11年，哎，没有白做吧。
Stimulating the desire to escape poverty and get rich through hard work is the key to promoting self-development in poverty-stricken areas. Only with this aspiration can poor households find support, and only after they are lifted out of poverty can they, through sustained hard work, achieve even greater prosperity. Wang Xing's inspirational story is an example of this. Improved healthcare is another important component of the National Poverty Alleviation Strategy. In the poorest areas, the possibility of falling ill is the source of constant worry for farmers. A focus of targeted poverty alleviation is to prevent people being rendered bankrupt by costly medical bills. A nationwide effort is underway to address the issue of poverty brought about by illness. In Wushe County, Xinjiang, a new multi-level medical screening and treatment model is being created that will reduce medical costs for poor people.
健康扶贫非常重要。我们来了以后，发现我们这个村儿人口虽然不多，1500多人，但是它这个地方病、肺结核发病率还是比较高的，而且因病致穷、因病返贫的这个程度也是比较高的。所以我们把这个也作为一个大事来抓。首先呢，就是请我们当地的医疗机构，特别是我们新疆肺科医院，组织一个医疗小分队，来把我们整个村的这个患病的这个患者家庭的情况摸一遍，就是建档立看，把这些患者呢在我们县医院进行住院集中治疗。同时呢，我们积极协调北京肺科医院与我们自治区肺科医院一起，和乌市医院建立了这个远程医疗网络。
这个是我的名字，这个是我的电话。明天到县医院去给我打电话，我去接待你，好不好？好的。
2016年9月份起，乌市县全面落实自治区党委提出的医疗惠民政策，全县共设置体检医疗机构10家，每年为全县22万各族群众提供免费健康体检。通过健康体检做到疾病的早发现、早诊断、早治疗，减轻了各族群众的就医负担。
Here, as a part of the effort to alleviate poverty through improved healthcare, they are implementing 3 campaigns. Social security coverage is being improved for serious diseases. Centralized treatment is provided for the seriously ill, and a contracted service is offered in cases of chronic disease. In addition, compensation standards have been raised for poor patients under the new rural cooperative medical system, and insurance is available against serious illness.
这是医保结算，报销比例是90%，你们自己要掏365，然后这剩下的这365块钱嘛，因为你们是这个低保户和这个精准贫困户，还需要在这个民政系统里报剩余的部分的80%，剩下的20%那个补充医疗保险还可以报95%，这样子你父亲本次住院只需要掏上几块钱就可以了。
本供养人员重点优护对象无保户、重度残疾人、孤儿、贫困人口享受90%的医保报销比例，个人支付部分由民警救助资金和补充医疗保险进行2次结算，所有手续均在我院结算处实行一站式结算，无需要患者再去其他部门或者其他机构进行报销了。
Wushe's targeted long-term health-related poverty alleviation measures basically ensure that no one is reduced to poverty due to falling ill. To people living in poverty-stricken areas, Healthy China is much more than a slogan. It represents a safety net they can rely on in fighting both illness and poverty.
一个病致贫呢，是我们在精准识别的时候，它是贫困的原因。那么这里就是我们要在围绕疾病的预防这个层面上要做很大的文章。我觉得国家层面也有一系列卓有成效的措施，比如说3个一批，就要整治一批、签约一批、兜底一批，确实把现在的大病慢病导致了失去劳动力这一部分的贫困人口。 可以有效的通过制度的，通过这个日常的这个服务平台体系的建设，得到了有效的防控。
Through fostering industries, encouraging relocation, restoring the environment, strengthening education, and improving social security, China has created a miracle in the global fight against poverty. The UN's Millennium Development Goals 2015 stated that China had contributed over 70% to global poverty reduction. The Economist said, China has been a hero of the world's poverty reduction efforts. In October 2017, the Global Poverty Reduction and Development Forum was held in Beijing. In his congratulatory message, UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres said that China's remarkable achievements in poverty reduction were having a positive spillover effect on the whole world. On September the 25th, 2015, the UN Leaders Summit on Sustainable Development was held at the United Nations headquarters. It adopted the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. The agenda set many sustainable development goals, one of which was eliminating all forms of poverty in the world. China, with its targeted strategy, has met the goals on poverty alleviation in the Agenda for Sustainable Development ahead of schedule. Targeted alleviation underscores China's strategy for poverty eradication in the new era. In those areas of China that were once stricken with poverty, people have been convinced that the targeted poverty alleviation strategy has been effective and beneficial. Due to widespread poverty, hundreds of millions of people worldwide are suffering from hunger, illness, and distress. This is now the biggest challenge in respecting and safeguarding human rights. The miracle achieved by China in fighting poverty is based on the economic reality of a developing country, the strength of its political system, and its people-centered development philosophy. On September the 3rd, 2018, UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres was invited to attend the FOCAC Beijing Summit. During an interview, he pointed out that China had contributed more than any other country to global poverty reduction in the previous decade. Over the past 40 years of reform and opening up, China has created a miracle in the history of poverty reduction. As a result, absolute poverty, which had plagued the Chinese nation for thousands of years, has been ended. China, through its efforts, has effectively accelerated the process of poverty reduction for all humankind, and has made an outstanding contribution to human development. In this way, global poverty reduction governance is benefiting from China's experience and wisdom. Now, there are no more people in China living below the poverty line. China met the UN Sustainable Development Goals on poverty 10 years ahead of schedule. However, ensuring that not a single county is classified as impoverished doesn't mean that China has completed its anti-poverty work. Areas that have escaped poverty should not escape their further responsibilities. They should continue to implement the strategy, offer assistance, and provide supervision while tackling any remaining problems. To achieve prosperity is a common aspiration shared by humankind. The Chinese nation has never been as close to achieving this dream as it is today.